as they say sometimes, when it rains, it pours. It's Holy Week, things are busy enough, and we had PG&E come by to fix some asphalt that they had left unfinished outside our church, and they hit a water pipe yesterday, which shut the water off in our building. That's gotten resolved, thankfully. And then, of course, on Monday, many of you received another scam email from someone pretending to be me. And because this has happened so many times now during COVID, and because there still seems to be a lot of confusion surrounding it, I just wanted to take my devotional time to speak on it for a few minutes today. First, I just want to apologize and acknowledge how strange it must be to receive an email that you think is from your pastor and then find out that it's from someone who's trying to scam you. Second, I just want to reiterate, in none of these cases has my email address ever been hacked. Each of these times, someone is using a different email address than my own. It takes about 3 minutes to go into Gmail and set up a new email address. My name and my email are on our website, so that's really all this person needs to know in order to set up an email address to impersonate me. Now, you might be thinking, well, how did the scammer get my email address? How did they know how to contact me? And that's the part we don't fully know. But what we do know is that several members of our church have had their email addresses hacked over the last year. I've gotten several scam emails from the actual email addresses of folks in our congregation. And so if someone was able to hack into someone else's email in the church network, they would have access to that person's contact list. They may even have access to our church directory through that. So that's probably the way that they found out about your email address. It's also possible that we listed your email in the parish scope, which is linked to online. It's also possible that through Facebook, your email address is visible, and there's a setting that you can turn off on Facebook to make sure that no one can see your email address. So what can we do? What can we do when this happens? And what can we do to make sure that we don't end up in contact with someone who is not the pastor of Arlington Community Church? Well, first of all, I would say read each email that you receive really carefully. Treat it like you're answering a knock on your door. And ask yourself, does it sound like someone I know? Is the tone and the spelling and the diction consistent with the way that person writes? Is this email coming to me on a day that the pastor usually works, or a day like Monday where the pastor usually takes the day off? If you have suspicions, check the email address. You can do that by clicking on the name or the email address, usually at the top of the email window. Like I said, each time this scam has happened to our church, it's always come from a different email address than my own. Thirdly, no, I'm going to say this right now, I will never make a confidential request to you or a sort of vague statement that needs immediate response without explaining myself. I will never do that via email. So anytime you get something like that, know that it's not from me. And furthermore, I and no one in our staff will ever request you to purchase gift cards on their behalf. So again, if you get that request by email, it's not coming from us. Lastly, and this gets back to how this scammer got email addresses in the first place, make sure your own email address and personal information is secure. Like I said, make sure it's not visible on Facebook. Change your passwords regularly. This is the 5th time, I think, that this has happened to our congregation during COVID, and it's a big waste of everyone's time, and that's probably in a best case scenario. I really hope that this has not tricked or damaged anyone in our network, and it breaks my heart to think that this is continuing. And I think the best way we can prevent it from doing any damage is to be really vigilant, to expect that probably it is going to happen again. But if no one in the congregation responds, if no one gives this person any reason to think that we might fall for this, they're more likely to give up and move on. So again, I'm so sorry for this continuing annoyance and disturbance. But those are some tips you can follow, and I hope you really will, to make sure that we're all keeping each other safe. Okay. God bless you, and I hope you have a really meaningful and rich Holy Week.